Part 64. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 631. Chapter 631 Decided to leave. Xiaoling has experienced too many things these days. Like a string, when someone pulls it apart at first, it will hurt and struggle. However, once it is pulled to the extreme, it becomes silent and does not bother to make even the last sound. She understood clearly, why should she beg so hard to irrelevant people? Whether it's Mr. Li or Tan Ying. She is the phoenix of the Xia family. Her father and brother are so high up that everyone is prostrate. Those noble and proud family members traveled all over the world to find bamboo for her, and guarded her carefully for her. Why should she trample on herself and let others trample on her? She was reborn from nirvana not to continue being bullied. After thinking about this, she felt calm. She looked at Tan Ying and said, "I want to terminate my contract with Tianyi." Tan Ying was stunned for a moment, then sneered, "Terminate the contract? Yes, Ling, have you read the contract carefully? The artist's termination fee has always been sky high. What do you pay for it?" Xiaoling also sneered, "I'm sorry, Mr. Tan, I think you have misunderstood. The termination fee of only 100 to 200 million may be a sky-high price in your eyes, but to me it is just change that I am too lazy to count. Please. Don't use your poor imagination to speculate on my net worth." After she finished speaking, she turned around and walked out the door, ignoring Tan Ying's surprised expression. A group of senior executives were left in the office, unable to recover for a long time. What did she just say? The termination fee of 100 to 200 million yuan is just small change that she is too lazy to count? Is this woman crazy? Are you insane because you were abandoned by the boss? It's really too arrogant, too presumptuous. Tan Ying's hand tightened unconsciously, and the fountain pen in his hand was almost broken by him. Where did this woman get so much money? The boss doted on her too much. How much did he give her? Tan Ying, you will regret forcing Xiaoling away. Sister Mai Na hurriedly dropped these words and chased out. Xiaoling walked out of Tianyi, raised her head, and looked at the sky. In the square, the air in early autumn is biting and the sun is bright and dazzling. She took a deep breath and told herself, "Xiaoling, the past is in the past, don't look back, forget Tianyi, and forget that man. It's not like you haven't been in love before, it's not a big deal, you were so deep with Pei Ziyan back then. The entanglements with each other can fade away with time, and this time, it will definitely be able to. There is a dull pain in the bottom of my heart." She deliberately ignored the pain and said to herself, "Everything will be fine." Xiaoling, someone called her from behind. It was Sister Mayna's voice. She turned around and saw Sister Mayna, dressed in burgundy business attire, chasing after her in high heels and standing in front of her, with thin beads of sweat on her forehead. "Have you really decided to leave?" Sister Mayna asked. Xiaoling said, "You have seen their attitude. I have no reason to stay." Tan Ying was confused for a moment. Sister Mai Na said, "Xiaoling, please ignore him, hold on, and wait for the boss to come back. The boss will definitely make the decision for you." "What if he doesn't come back?" Xiaoling asked softly. Sister Mayna was suddenly speechless. Xiaoling smiled lightly, "Sister Mayna, I know you are doing it for my own good. But, I waited for him at the airport for a week, no, plus the period when I locked myself at home, half of it was already more than a month has passed. Li Lei has not come back. How should I trust him? Maybe he was tripped up by something." Sister Mayna said weakly. "Yes, I was hindered by Sutang's pregnancy." Xiaoling's tone was still very light. She paused and suppressed the dull pain in her heart. "Sister Mayna, if he still loves me, he won't mind at all. I am in Tianyi. But if he doesn't love me anymore, why should I stay in Tianyi? Are you bringing shame on yourself? Sister Mena was speechless when she asked her question. Xiaoling smiled again, and suddenly bowed deeply to Sister Mena. I have been taking care of you since I debuted. I am really grateful. Then, goodbye. After saying that, she left without looking back. Sister Mena looked at her back, disappearing little by little into the crowd, and her eyes were red unknowingly. This child, she murmured, this child, is really good. He raised his hand to cover his mouth, fearing that the sound of choking would come out. After making this decision, Xiaoling felt relaxed. She returned home, logged onto her Weibo and posted the news, which immediately caused an uproar, and all fans and media were in an uproar. Not long after, her cell phone started ringing endlessly, almost exploding. Everyone revolves around only one thing. Xiaoling, have you really quit Tianyi? Miss Ye, what happened? Did you and Tianyi's powerful boss change your relationship again? Ms. Ye, do you want to come to our company? The benefits are very good and the conditions are favorable. She simply turned off the phone. Not long after, the doorbell rang. She opened the door and saw Pei Ziyan, wearing a finely made thin shirt, standing in front of the low ivy-covered fence in front of her house. No one answered my call, so I came over to take a look, Pei Ziyan said. It's better to be close to the water, first come first served. The security of this community is very secure. No matter how many people from the outside world want to visit her, they can't let in. He is the only one who lives next door to her house, very close. Unexpectedly, she stopped him with one sentence, I will not return to the emperor. Pei Ziyan smiled gently, in fact, Emperor is the best entertainment company in the industry. If you don't come back, where will you go? Xiaoling hasn't thought about this problem yet. In the final analysis, quitting Tianyi is just an impulsive decision. As for the next step, God knows. I know you are not short of money, it is enough to maintain a comfortable life for several lifetimes. Since he found out who her family was, Pei Ziyan had completely given up on using money to coerce her. He began to tell her his feelings, but, you have to find a place to put your singing career. You have loved singing since you were a child and regard singing as your second life. You have to be worthy of your singing voice and your fans. Emperor, it's your best choice. Xiaoling looked at him quietly for a long time and then suddenly smiled. Pei Ziyan, she said, I didn't realize you were so eloquent before. If you don't become the emperor's chairman someday, you can still do MLM. Pei Ziyan's eyes darkened slightly and he smiled. If doing MLM can help you return to the emperor, I would be extremely happy, he said. Give up. Xiaoling was not going to give in on this matter. She said, I'm tired and want to go back to the house to rest. You should go back too. Speaking, he turned back and prepared to enter the house. Pei Ziyan grabbed her through the low fence and said, Xiaoling. She turned around and looked at him puzzled. If you need my help, if you need anything, just say it. His voice was very gentle. Her expression softened. Thank you, no need. She would think carefully about the next step, but she would no longer rely on anyone. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 632. Chapter 632. Super White and Fume. Fans care about her very much. They left messages through various channels, asking about her future whereabouts. Xiaoling stayed at home and screened all the entertainment companies. She found that Pei Ziyan was right. Except for Emperor and Tianyi, the others were too small to provide her with a good environment. It is better to set up a company by yourself. This idea suddenly popped into my mind, growing like a weed. If it is her own company, she will no longer be restricted by anyone, and she will no longer be said by public opinion to rely on someone to support her. Public opinion has always been unkind to her. She is a commoner and is involved with the bosses of two of the largest companies in the entertainment industry. An unclear woman is too tempting to imagine. She's had enough of this. The stars on the autumn night are fading, and the unknown chirping sounds of insects can be heard in the small garden. She poured a glass of sake and fell into a trance while looking at the stars. The breeze was blowing her clothes and long hair. At this time, the flowers were beautiful, the night was beautiful, the passing time was like a song, everything was fine. If you're going to start a company, why not do it now? While the edge is still there, while all ambitions have not been flattened by love. Poetry and wine are good. She invited Lin Yunan to the villa and told him about the idea. Lin Yunan was still wearing a dirty-looking shirt, with the buttons on the collar crookedly buttoned. He was holding a bottle of beer in his hand, pouring it into his mouth, and smiling mischievously. "Why did you come to me? There are countless people who want to praise you and flatter you, so why come and invite someone who has been abandoned by you twice?" Honestly, this guy holds a grudge. Xiaoling knew that this person was hard-spoken and soft-hearted. If he was not interested in her, he would not come all the way to the villa to meet her in the middle of the night. Seeing him taking Qiao, she squinted her eyes and smiled, acting like a rogue. "The first time I went from Dongyu to Emperor, it was because you were an unqualified agent and failed to stop the company from letting me transfer. The second time, Li Lei was going to be fired. You were punished simply because you did things that were not in line with the big boss's wishes. What does that have to do with me?" "Hey, you're so cute." Lin Yunan picked up the wine bottle and said, "I haven't seen you for a few days. You've made some progress. How dare you entertain your brother and me? How can you make up such nonsense? Anyway, if I set up a company, will you come?" Xiaoling was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. "Come," Lin Yunan said, "but I have conditions. She is a rare singing talent that is rare in a century. Even if she is a little difficult to maintain and a little troublesome, he is not willing to give up." "What conditions?" Xiaoling asked. Lin Yunan leaned forward slightly. "I want to sign an exclusive brokerage contract with you for a lifetime. You will never change your broker in your life. Furthermore, I want to buy shares in your company, so no one can fire me." Honestly, he was hurt when Li Lei fired him. Xiaoling smiled and said, "Okay, I'll give you the shares. How about 30%? This price is not only generous, but also generous to the point of ruining the fortune. If a big chaebol boss like Li Lei or Pei Xian were here, they would definitely be sold by her." The prodigal act was so angry that he fainted. 30% of stocks, is it crazy? Who knows? Lin Yunan is still not satisfied. "I won't take advantage of you, and I won't take your stock. The two of us are a partnership, and you hold 51% of the shares and I hold 49%. He knew that since Xiaoling wants to open a company of her own, then she will never succumb to anyone else. Her own control of 51% of the shares is the lowest limit. Then, he needs 49% to ensure his pivotal position and voice in the company." Xiaoling was stunned. "Why, you're not happy?" Lin Yunan looked ferocious. No, in fact, she didn't understand anything about shares and was not very interested in making money. She opened this company just to sing freely. It makes no difference to her whether she gives Lin Yunan 30% or 49% of the shares. The only difference is, "You said, you don't want to do shares, but you want to use your own money to invest in shares," she confirmed. "Yeah, how can I take advantage of a woman?" Lin Yunan said very matter-of-factly. "No matter how bad I am still one of the heirs of the Lin Group, and I have a lot of money. Tell me, how much equity you plan to invest. I will count you as a 49% of the funds are injected into your company." Xiaoling looked at him weakly. If she said 10 billion, would she be beaten to death? She has no idea about starting a company. She only knows that she has 10 billion in cash on hand. It is just idle anyway, so she might as well invest it all in the company. "Why don't you talk?" Lin Yunan was a little impatient. It's okay if you don't have enough money. I can lend it to you. Or it's okay if the company is smaller. The worst is to start with a bad company. Anyway, the company's core asset is not money at all, but it's your voice. No. What is it? Lin Yunan scolded her, don't underestimate the value of your voice. That's not what I meant. Xiaoling became even weaker. What is that? Lin Yunan became even more impatient, can you stop being so hesitant? Alright. Xiaoling took a deep breath and said, actually, I have 10 billion. If this 10 billion is equivalent to 51% of the shares, should you pay more than 9 billion for 49% of the shares, just die, anyway. He wants to hear the truth. What? 10 billion, Lin Yunan went crazy, no, sister, what did you just say? How much? Did I hear wrongly? It's actually not 10 billion, but 1 million. You heard it right, it's 10 billion. Having said this, Xiaoling gave up. Don't worry, the source of this money is clean and there is no problem. I can spend it however I want. I will use part of it as a pawn. The shares given to you are also good and will make you rich overnight. Go and get rich overnight. That's not the point, Lin Yunan stared at her like a monster. Why didn't he know before that this weak girl who seemed to be good for nothing but singing was actually a hidden secret? Super white and beautiful without revealing it? It's almost as good as your niece, okay. 10 billion is worth more than half of their Lin family. 49% of the equity, as if I didn't say that. Lin Yunan was weak and accepted the reality, I can give you 150 million at most. The available funds in his hand are only 150 million when fully calculated. Oh, Xiaoling didn't mind it that much. Anyway, the 10 billion she had in hand was already beyond the upper limit of her knowledge and was an astronomical figure. The next step up is 1.015 billion or 20 billion, it's exactly the same to her, okay. Lin Yunan's heart is bleeding, his 49% stake. Did it just fly away? Shame, this is so shameful. The girl promised to give him 49% of the equity, but when things came to a close, he couldn't raise that much money. Lin Yunan regrets it. Why didn't he inquire about the girl's net worth before asking for the equity? You have so much money, why did you go to Tianyi in the first place? Lin Yunan simply complained. Don't tell him, she went to Tianyi just to pick up men? Xiaoling said obediently, because Li Lei is there. Lin Yunan. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 633. Chapter 633, The Land of Indus. She lowered her head slightly and looked at the sake in the glass, but it's all over. Lin Yunan was also silent, mainly because he was trying to help Li Lei in his heart. What does it feel like to be favored by a girl who can easily spend 10 billion? He actually abandoned me. The sin is unforgivable. That's right, it's all over. Lin Yunan patted Xiaoling on the shoulder and said harshly, anyway, from today on, I will follow you. You will help me reach the pinnacle of life and become the manager of the world's top diva. You must be responsible for me and don't fire me. Do you hear me? He is so fierce. Xiaoling looked at him weakly and nodded cautiously. How dare she fire him? This man is so scary. No matter whether he gets the equity or not, she doesn't dare to touch him. Woo woo woo. The two of them planned the whole night on the terrace of the villa. The general structure of the company has been finalized. Xiaoling is responsible for being the chairman, singer, mascot, and money maker, while Lin Yunan is responsible for being the CEO, agent, and various other odd jobs. Xiaoling was so moved that she burst into tears. She felt deeply that it was great to recruit an employee like Lin Yunan. She knows nothing about company operations, so she just needs someone who comes from a business family and is willing to do odd jobs, a handyman. How could she fire Lin Yunan? It's too late to burn incense and beg him to stay. Lin Yunan is an activist and publishes news the next day. Halfway through sending it, I suddenly remembered something. By the way, what is the name of our company? At that time, Xiaoling was happily sipping a big bowl of strawberry smoothie. When she heard his question, she paused for a moment before saying, I haven't thought about it yet. Lin Yunan just wanted to kill her. Go away and think about it. Why else are you eating smoothies? Hey, you shouldn't be so harsh on your chairman. Xiaoling argued in a low voice. Lin Yunan shouted, you are limited to 3 hours. If you can't figure it out, just go to the southeast branch. With 2 bags of tears in her eyes, Xiaoling silently hid in the study with her smoothie in her arms. Woohoo, she was wrong. Why should she keep Lin Yunan while burning incense? When you recruit someone, fire them decisively, While I was pricking the little straw man in my heart, I had to think of a name. What should the company be called? I was tossing and turning on the sofa, but still couldn't think of a clue. The phone rang and she picked it up. Xiaomoyan's voice came from the other end, Xiaoling. Brother, Xiaoling's eyes were bright, and she sat upright on the sofa. Brother. Is it really you? Why did you think of calling me today? Hearing his sister's surprised tone, Xiaomoyan's mood also became high. However, the voice on the phone still sounded as cold and indifferent as ever. I saw a message posted online saying that you are about to set up a company, but the company has not been announced yet. Name? Yeah, Xiaoling guessed that it was Lin Yunan who sent out the first wave of promotional copy. She said, I'm thinking of a name, but I can't think of it, it's so difficult. Feng Qianshang. What? Xiaoling was slightly startled. The Phoenix of the Phoenix, the thousand turns of the Phoenix, the sorrow of love. Xiaomoyan said, just use this name, and leave the location and decoration of the office to me. These things have to be chosen according to Feng Shui. Well, it will make you suffer less disasters and suffer less. For example, the name of the company Feng Qianshang means that Phoenix has experienced thousands of disasters. It is the best way to deceive God and make him think that she is. A lot has been suffered. Xiaoling didn't understand the twists and turns, but she chose to believe her brother. Okay. Xiaomoyan said, be good. He hung up the phone. Brother. Xiaoling stopped him. Is there anything else? Xiaomoyan asked. You, don't ask me why I quit Tianyi. Haha, Xiaomoyan sneered, do you even need to ask? That piece of wood is sorry for you and is not worthy of you. He is not worthy of me. It's now, and you're still speaking for him, you choose. Li Lei. His sneer made Xiaoling tremble with fear. Don't bully him, she begged in a low voice. Xia Mo said, haha. Brother, Xiaoling was anxious. Xiaomoyan then said, why do I have a sister like you with her elbows turned out? Okay, I won't bully him. Now you can rest assured. Actually. Xiaoling hesitated, I also want to ask, if he and Sutang, really, have a child. On the other end of the phone, Xiaomoyan was silent for a moment and then said, Xiaoling, he is your lover. There are some things that I cannot interfere with or investigate. I'm sorry. Xiaoling lowered her eyes, feeling disappointed. I wonder how Li Lei is doing now. No contact for so long, is he okay? Are you too happy to be with Sutang, so you have already forgotten her? She remembered watching the international news a few days ago, saying that he took Sutang to Eastern Europe. While confronting the enemy, he bought a lot of pregnancy products. Her heart clenched and ached. You are a phoenix, Xiaomoyan said, losing you is his loss. She was very sad and said softly, "I'm dead. Goodbye, brother." She was a little hurt and couldn't express it to others. Even though she now has 10 billion and wants to set up her own company and attract everyone's attention, she still has something in her heart. A dark hollow, bottomless. With the 3 words Feng Qian Shang, the registration was successful. Officially became the name of her company. Xiaomoyan also sent her the location of the company. By coincidence, it was the building opposite Tianyi. Xiaoling looked at the map and frowned, "Brother, I don't want to stay there." Looking up and not seeing the others in Tianyi only added to the sadness. Xiaomoyan originally didn't want her to choose that location, but there were hundreds of sycamore trees in the world, so why was there only Lilei in S city? Tianyi is his lair, and it has the aura of Wutong. It is very beneficial for Xiaoling to place the company near there. If I could choose another place, my brother would not choose it, Xiaomo said honestly, but there is only one place that is most suitable, so you can make do with it. Xiaoling sighed looking at the map. Lin Yunan came over to take a look. "Oh, who chose this site? It's high, it's really high. It's right opposite Tianyi, which coincides with me." Coincidentally, Xiaoling turned to look at him. "Yes," Lin Yunan pointed at the map with his hand, as if he was pointing to the country. "There are only 2 entertainment company distribution centers in the city. One is mainly for the emperor, and the old city is crowded with people of all sizes. It is impossible to find it. What kind of decent empty house can I find?" Another place is the new urban area centered on Tianyi. In recent years, it has been developing better and better, with a beautiful environment and many cutting-edge talents. Most importantly, the building opposite Tianyi has many tenants. It's about to expire and we can rent the whole building. Moreover, transportation, popularity, class, all aspects are suitable. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 634. Chapter 634 Phoenix Building a Nest. Lin Yunan was very efficient and rented the building within a few days. On this day, Xiaoling got up early in the morning and saw a tall man standing by the low fence gate. The thin morning light flickered on his cold and handsome face, and he was dressed in white clothes and was extraordinary. "Brother," she called out in surprise and ran over to open the door. Xiaomoyan looked down at her sister and saw that she was a little thinner than the last time they met. Fortunately, she was in good spirits. The smile at the corners of her eyes and eyebrows was not a disguise. He casually looked around the yard again. The ivy and tuberose were lush and green. Everything was almost the same as before he left last time, with no changes. At this point he was satisfied. Xiaoling asked curiously, "Brother, what are you looking at?" Xiaomoyan said, "I helped you tidy up the feng shui in the courtyard last time. It seems to be well maintained. I want to continue like this, you know." Xiaoling nodded obediently. Her brother was an expert in this area and had excellent aesthetics. The courtyard he helped her take care of was simply a work of art. Then she asked curiously, "Why are you here? Is there anything wrong?" She knew very well that she was alone and had only a few relatives. Her brother usually avoided contact with her, but now that he suddenly appeared quietly, there must be someone. "What's up?" "Sure enough," Xiaomoyan said, "the office building has been rented. Come on, I'll go take a look with you." Huh, Xiaoling finally realized that her brother had said on the phone last time that he would help her decorate, and it seemed that he was serious about it. She smiled and said, "Okay, I'll call Lin Yunan. He will be in charge of the decoration. If you have any ideas, he will go to the construction team to implement them." "No need," Xiaomoyan said, "I have already found the construction team for you, as well as designers and material dealers. They are all ready. These people have worked with our Xia family for a long time and know how to decorate the Feng Shui Bureau. if you find it's very troublesome for an ordinary construction team to get along. Xiaoling thought about it, too. Then there's no need to ask Lin Yunan to come, she asked. Xia Moyan said, it's better to call him. If you have any problems with daily use and maintenance in the future, you will have to rely on him. Xiaoling nodded, called Lin Yunan, and made an appointment to meet him at the door of the building. She and her brother drove over and arrived at the door of the building. It is a very grand building, 18 stories high, with a very elegant and artistic exterior design. In front of the steps at the main entrance of the building, there were two strangers with tools chatting. When they saw them get out of the car, they came up to them and said to Xia Moyan very respectfully, Mr. Xia. They are the engineering team that often cooperates with the Xia family. They knew very well that Xia Moyan was the national master, but they didn't know the identity of the petite-looking girl next to him. In front of outsiders, they usually would not call him the national master to prevent others from recognizing his identity. Xiaoling looked at them curiously. These two people seemed to have a very unique temperament. They had a kind of restrained calmness and confidence. They should be experts in a certain field. Xia Moyan introduced her, this is Gong Zhang, and this is Master Wang. Many famous buildings in the world were designed by them. He casually reported several building names, and as expected, they were all famous. Xiaoling has always respected people with real abilities and said politely, good job, Master Zhang, good Master Wang. Xia Moyan's eyes were light and he said to her, no need to be so polite, they can't bear it. Xiaoling was slightly startled. Even the two masters were stunned. Who was the girl in front of them? How could they not even deserve her respect? You know, they are both famous in the architectural world. It is not an exaggeration to say that many people worship them and prostrate themselves to offer tea. The two of them looked at each other with surprise and suspicion in their eyes. Xia Moyan said, you are all here to help Xiaoling decorate, and I won't hide this from you. Xiaoling is the phoenix of our Xia family. Your ancestors have worked for the Xia family for generations, so you should know what the phoenix means to the Xia family. Those two people were shocked, my God. Phoenix. Legends say that the Xia family's phoenix is no more than a legend. Because of the punishment of being orphaned and widowed, it was often abandoned at birth and could not contact the family for the rest of its life. It had to pass mysterious conditions to return to the family. Zhang Gong and Master Wang are outsiders and don't know what the mysterious condition is, but they know very well how rare the Xia family's phoenix is, and the one that can restore contact with the family is unique, and it is a rare treasure of the entire family. With this said, even if they had the guts to offend 10 masters of the country, they would not dare to offend a phoenix of the Xia family. The two people stood in silence and kept saying that they couldn't bear it, so please don't break them. Is it really going to ruin your fortune? Xiaoling was doubtful and no longer respected them. The two decoration masters were very excited. They never expected that they would be able to see the Xia family's phoenix alive in their lifetime. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting that they can actually build a nest for the phoenix. Yes, it is to build a nest for the phoenix, Xia Moyan said while leading them inside. All the wood is made of sycamore wood. The space must be deep, winding and quiet. I will tell you every detail. The two people responded quickly, unable to restrain their emotions. They had a hunch that this decoration would be the most outstanding work in their careers. After a while, Lin Yunan also arrived. Seeing Xia Moyan, he looked at Xia Moyan critically and asked Xiaoling, who is he? Xiaoling is really not very good at explaining her brother's identity. Her brother has told her not to let too many people know. After thinking for a while, she said, anyway, we are trustworthy people who helped us find a designer and construction team to decorate the entire building. Lin Yunan was doubtful, is it reliable? Xiaoling told him a few building works that her brother had casually reported when he introduced the two people. Lin Yunan was shocked, those are all masterpieces by masters. How did you hire such awesome people? Looking at Xiaomoyan and the other two masters, their views were very different. Xiaoling made a few perfunctory remarks, looked at the huge internal space, and said, I will only be a singer in the entire company. I won't recruit too many people, nor will I arrange too many departments. Is it possible in such a big place? Very wasteful. The scale of this building is almost as big as the main building of Tianyi. Xiaomoyan said, I am only responsible for feng shui matters. You have to think clearly about how to divide the functions of the specific space and how to use it. You have the final say. Xiaoling ran up and down the whole building and gradually came up with an idea, let's do a display. In addition to the office area and the reception area, the rest of the area will be used as an exhibition hall to display some of my publicity and works. Fans can come and visit. This is a good idea, Lin Yunan said. This will become a holy place for your fans. Xiaomoyan also said, okay, let's do it. A group of people spent a whole day here and finally formulated a complete decoration plan. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 635. Chapter 635, Who Accomplished Whom? The decoration will be completed soon. Xiaoling reluctantly sent her brother away and decided to open the business on another day. On the opening day, there was a lot of excitement. The red carpet at the entrance was filled with all kinds of flower baskets on both sides, some were sent by fans, some were sent by the media, and some were sent by relatives, friends, and celebrities from all walks of life. She stood in the sea of flowers, wearing a silver satin dress, with clear and picturesque features. From time to time, guests arrived, shaking hands and hugging her, and congratulating her on her opening. She saw a black Rolls-Royce stop at the door, and a tall man got out of the car. He was wearing a tight black formal suit and had a cold and majestic face. As soon as he got off the car, the media took crazy photos. It is Pei Xian. He is now chasing her closely. Xiaoling knows that he will definitely come on such a big day, so she is not surprised. He bent down and gave her a polite hug, his tall figure almost covering her. The media's flashbulbs kept flashing, and she heard him say in her ear, "Congratulations." She smiled lightly, "Thank you." He looked at her with a pair of deep eyes, "I have a gift for you." Dongpei has already sent a flower basket, she said politely. Flower basket? That was prepared by the Public Relations Department. Pei Xian's voice was warm and gentle. He took something out of his pocket and put it into her palm. It was a small USB flash drive with a unique crystal butterfly shape. She looked at it and did not put it away immediately. Instead, she asked, "What's in it?" He said, "Maybe you can use some of the experience I have gained in running the emperor over the years." He knew that she was simple, and he might not know anything about the company's operations. Even if Lin Yunan was there to help her, but people were far apart, who knew whether she would be reliable. So she summarized some experiences and wrote them down in sentences she could understand. Xiaoling hasn't expressed anything yet. The media and celebrities from all walks of life were in an uproar, who didn't know that the emperor was a giant in the business world. As for Chairman Pei, who has been in charge of the emperor for more than 20 years, his experience is so precious. How many people are willing to spend all their money to change it? He just gave it to Ye Xinling so easily. Sure enough, beauty is a disaster. Even if it's an ex-wife, if it's different, it's different. Some people are already whispering, is Director Pei really pursuing Ye Xinling again, as the rumors say? It is said that the registered capital of Feng Qianshang culture media is as high as 10 billion. How did a female star get so much money? Is it secretly supported by Director Pei? Everyone's heart was filled with turmoil. Pei Xian, as if intending to add fuel to the stormy waves, said to her in a gentle and elegant manner, "You should first look at the experience here. If there is anything you don't understand, you can come to me at any time. This. What a true love. Everyone is shouting in their hearts, there is no truer love than this. How many wealthy couples refuse to tell each other exactly how much assets they have, and are always on guard against each other, but what about Pei Zion? Not only teach them to fish, but teach them to fish. Miss Ye, if you meet such a man, just marry him. There are already many gossips fantasizing about them getting back together. Xiaoling still just smiled lightly, my company is not as big and complex as the emperor's. I'm afraid I won't be able to use this knowledge. Thank you for your kindness, I still won't accept it. The onlookers are all going crazy, girl, you actually don't accept it. How many people were scratching their heads, wanting to help her take it? Even if they didn't use it, selling it would cost a sky-high price. Amid the commotion, Pei Zion remained calm, don't accept it? I will be embarrassed in front of so many people. Xiaoling. Pei Zion, what is this, a threat? However, looking into his deep and bottomless eyes, she really had to succumb to his threat. This man had sacrificed so much for her and was very respectable. How could she really lose his face in front of so many people? She lowered her head and put the small USB flash drive into her palm. A faint smile appeared on his face. The onlookers breathed a sigh of relief unconsciously at this time. Well, such a good thing should be accepted. Yasin Ling, you are prosperous, do you know that? What is a USB flash drive that Director Pei gave you? Some experience. He is telling everyone in disguise that he is the backer of your company. This is a good thing that makes me laugh out of my dreams. Originally, before she opened her business, many people were not optimistic about her being an inexperienced female star starting a company. Now, the voices of criticism have subsided unconsciously. Xiaoling asked people to lead Pei Zion into rest, while she continued to welcome guests at the door. Feng Kun, Wei Shaiyan, Luo Luo and others also came, and each of them gave her blessings and gifts. She stood at the door for a long time, and there was an endless stream of guests. She began to feel some pain in her feet. A fiery red sports car stopped not far away, and a girl got out of the car. She was wearing a gorgeous dress and exaggerated makeup. She was surrounded by people. She turned out to be Gulin. Xiaoling's eyebrows wrinkled imperceptibly. Gulin walked up the steps and looked up at the company's signboard. The three seal characters Feng Qi and Shang are simple and beautiful, as poetic as picturesque. So, her brows also wrinkled. How could Yasin Ling, a bitch, deserve to be in such a good company? On the surface, she looked at Xiaoling with a smile, congratulations. Xiaoling was not too polite, I didn't invite you. There were whispers from the media and onlookers on the side, right? It is said that everyone is in the same circle, and the Gu family is not a small conglomerate. Why didn't Yasin Ling invite them? Gu Lin smiled with a strange smile, Yasin Ling, this is your fault. I remember when you first debuted with nothing, you were so blackmailed that you almost couldn't stand up. If we, the Gu family, hadn't taken pity on you, we would have. How can you be where you are today if I make Star Wings endorsement advertisement for you? The person who comes is not good. Miss Gu immediately exposed others' shortcomings as soon as she came up, and many people understood that she was here to challenge the club. Xiaoling naturally understands, but the thing she is least afraid of in her life is fights. She sneered and said in a clear and indifferent tone, yes, I am very grateful to Mr. Gu for his wisdom and entrusting me with the advertising endorsement of Star Wings. Later it turned out that he did not choose the wrong person. This is a win-win cooperation. I heard during my endorsement period, Star Wings created a miracle in the history of perfume sales. Later, when the endorsement expired, Star Wings sales dropped a lot. There was another murmuring from people around, yes. Later, the sales of Star Wings dropped, and many people commented that it was because of the loss of Ye Xingling's endorsement. It's hard to say who achieved who between Ye Xingling and this product. For a moment, everyone looked at Miss Gu with a bit of contempt. It was said that Ye Xingling did not renew her Star Wings endorsement contract because of her disagreement with this mentally retarded young lady. What a loss this is to the Gu family. This Gu Lin is simply a prodigal girl. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 636. Chapter 636, Kicked Out but got kicked out instead. Gu Lin came to the gym excitedly, but was blocked by a few words and was very angry. She was stunned for a moment, and then said, "You're talking nonsense. The sales volume of Star Wings has nothing to do with your half-cent." "Oh," Xiaoling chuckled, "Miss Gu is saying that Mr. Gu and the senior executives of the Gu family had a problem with their vision in selecting spokespersons, and chose a spokesperson who is of no use." Gu Lin was speechless. Why is this so difficult to deal with? Even though she had despised Ye Xingling as a spokesperson 1,000 times in her heart, in front of so many people, how could she dare to say that there was something wrong with her grandfather's selection vision? Grandpa still has to peel off her skin. She was so angry that her face turned red. The onlookers and the media were taking pictures of them. In the picture, Xiaoling's eyebrows were full and her eyes were calm, and her face was calm. But where was Miss Gu? The contrast between his furious look was stark. "Tisk, this is delivered to your door for comparison." Many people sympathized with Gu Lin in their hearts. Gu Lin also noticed the slightly mocking looks from the onlookers, stamped her feet, walked around Xiaoling and headed for the door. But he was stopped by the staff at the door. "I'm sorry, lady, please show me the invitation letter." Gu Lin was so angry just now that she forgot about the invitation letter. Where did she get the invitation? She fully thought that by showing her identity as the eldest daughter of the Gu family at the door and accusing Xiaoling of being ungrateful for not sending an invitation letter to the Gu family, she would be able to gain the support of public opinion and make Ye Xingling, that bitch, feel ashamed to invite her in. Who knew that Ye Xingling was not ashamed at all? So now, it was her turn to be blocked at the door, unable to enter or retreat, feeling embarrassed. "Get out of the way," she shouted angrily at the staff. "Miss Gu, please don't lose your temper at my employees. Xiaoling has just been promoted to chairman of the board, and her freshness has not worn off yet. Even if she doesn't know anything about business management, she is very motivated to protect her shortcomings. You are a rich man. Miss, please show some qualities that a wealthy lady should have." What's wrong with me just getting angry at them? Gu Lin has a temper that gets explosive at any moment. She was angry at Ye Xingling and had nowhere to vent her anger. Now it's just right to vent her anger on these small employees. "Get out of here," she yelled. Xiaoling's expression darkened. Since these employees are willing to follow her, she cannot let others bully them. She turned her head and ordered coldly, "Security." With the order, the security guard stepped forward and said to Gu Lin, "Miss Gu, please don't disturb the order. Please give way and don't block the entrance of our company." The expulsion order, this is Hongguo's expulsion order. Around him, some onlookers couldn't believe it. This Ye Xingling was really not afraid of offending others. Even if she had a bad relationship with Miss Gu, she didn't care about the Gu family behind her at all. "We are all in the same circle, we don't see each other when we look up, and we still have the friendship of being the spokesperson for Star Wings. Is it necessary to make things so tense? You want to drive me away? How dare you?" Gu Lin also risked her life, in full view of the public and in front of so many media. If she was really kicked out, it would be a huge loss. She screamed, "Ye Xingling, Don't forget who my father is. Who is my grandfather? At this point, she could only use her family's name to scare Xiaoling. Xiaoling narrowed her eyes slightly and said to the two security guards, "Who asked you to drive her away?" Displeased tone. Gu Lin smiled proudly. Sure enough, after using the names of her father and grandfather, how could Ye Xingling, a little bitch, not be afraid? Huh, a commoner girl is a commoner girl. The rumors that she has a net worth of 10 billion are all false, right? How can she own 10 billion if she is so petty? The surrounding media and guests were also a little disappointed. This Ye Xingling looked so proud, so why did she become frightened even if she was even slightly intimidated? This is not like a woman trying to build a company on her own. Alas, after all, I came from a small family and suddenly became rich and poor, a reporter from the media said. Hearing these discussions, Gu Lin was very proud. She raised her head arrogantly and snorted through her nose, "That's right. Why don't you invite me in?" Invite you in? Unexpectedly, Xiaoling laughed. "Miss Gu, are you still clear-headed? You don't have an invitation letter, why should I invite you in? It's too flattering." The onlookers were all surprised. She wouldn't let Gu Lin in. Why did she ask the security guard to stop her? In a state of surprise, Xiaoling had already continued, "Gu Lin, you just scolded my employee, and you want to leave without even apologizing? You haven't apologized yet." The last 4 words were spoken with such force that it was frightening. Jump. Gu Lin was shocked by her aura, and it took her a long time to find her voice. "I don't, it's a joke, she is the eldest daughter of the Gu family, how can she apologize to 2 part-time workers? They deserve it too." "Whether you deserve it or not is not up to you." Xiaoling refused to give in. "I'll give you 3 seconds. If you don't apologize, you'll have to bear the consequences." "Ha, what are the consequences?" "I'm so scared." Gu Lin laughed wildly. She was used to being a eldest lady, and was used to everyone letting her go. She didn't believe that Xiaoling could do anything to her. Xiaoling's eyes glanced slightly. On both sides of the red carpet in front of the door were flower baskets sent by celebrities from all walks of life. Many uninvited people, such as the Gu family, also sent flower baskets. The flower basket was sent by Mr. Gu in the name of Gu's Chable in order to make good friends with Xiaoling. Although her relationship with Li Lei was currently frustrated, Mr. Gu was not so short-sighted and always believed that these girls are not simple. Sooner or later, they will eventually get married to Li Lei, to say the least. Even if they fail to be with Li Lei, their future achievements cannot be underestimated. Mr. Gu doesn't want to have a bad relationship with his granddaughter. "This is the flower basket from your Gu family." Xiaoling pointed at the flower basket with a clear and cold voice. "As the eldest lady of the Gu family, you insulted my employees in front of everyone, how can I accept this flower basket?" "Gu Lin, you know apology, that's fine, I'll just ask someone to throw the flower basket out, it's okay." The crowd was in an uproar. Throwing away the flower basket, what a humiliation this is to the Gu family. A slap in the face that is more naked than a slap in the face. Gu Lin was also panicked. Although she was acting nonsense, she was still concerned about whether Grandpa would skin her. She glared at Xiaoling, "How dare you? What don't I dare to do?" Xiaoling's voice was clear and calm, with a hint of calmness. "Do you know why I want to open Feng Qianshang's company? Because, is there any place where I can be more willful and misbehaving than my own company? In the past, when she was in Tianyi, she had to take Li Lei into account more or less when doing things. But now, there is no need to worry about anything." She smiled happily, but in her heart, there was a faint sense of loss and pain. If he is here, if he comes back, she would rather not have Feng Qianshang, and would rather be obedient and not cause any trouble for him. She just wants her sunshine back. However, Perhaps, there will never be a return. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 637. Chapter 637 Wonderful Announcement. Gu Lin was stunned. She didn't know that Xiaoling could be so cruel and block her words so thoroughly. Standing in front of the door, neither advancing nor retreating, "Do you want to apologize?" She is not willing to give in. But without apologizing, if Xiaoling really throws the Gu family's flower basket away, it will bring disgrace to the entire Gu family, and Mr. Gu will not be able to spare her. Beside, someone covered his mouth and laughed, "Miss Gu, you are so stupid." Gu Lin heard this, and bursts of anger surged into her brain, and she was carried away. She no longer cared about grandpa or family glory. She sneered at Xiaoling, the staff, and the security guards and said, "Apologize. This word doesn't exist in Gu Lin's dictionary. Just throw away the flower baskets if you like. It's just for sending away. The Gu family doesn't care about dogs," she said, turned around, and left the venue angrily. Xiaoling squinted her eyes slightly and watched her back walking away. The surrounding crowd was silent, and they were all surprised by this sudden change. This Miss Gu is really more willful and mentally retarded than imagined. Who does she think she is? The Queen Xiaoling back then? Back then, Xiaoling was raised by Pei Xian to be arrogant and domineering, and she did countless stupid things, but she never suffered any loss. I have never embarrassed the emperor before. And what about Gu Lin? He is also mentally retarded. Why is he so embarrassed? The onlookers sympathized with the Gu family. Countless pairs of eyes looked at Xiaoling, anticipating her next move. Will she really throw away the Gu family's flower basket? If that's the case, the feud between the two companies has been forged. Probably not. A reporter whispered to his companions, "How can a new company have such confidence to offend a big business family like Gu's Chable?" Before she finished speaking, Xiaoling lazily gave instructions. "Find out Gu's flower basket and throw it into the trash can." "What?" The reporter who just spoke has his eyes about to fall off. "Miss Ye, you don't know how to throw it away. You really throw it away at your will. This is enough." "That's stupid." The companion next to him looked shocked and murmured to help him complete the sentence. The reporter nodded sharply, "Yes, he is really stupid. On the first day of opening, he offended a big old Chable. It's so desperate." "But," his companion added, "Miss Ye has Dong Pei as her backer." "Yeah, why did he forget Pei Dong?" The reporter wanted to cry but had no tears. Dong Pei has always had a unique taste. He likes girls who are arrogant, domineering and have no brains. He used to be Xiaoling, but now he is Ye Xingling. He is willing to be someone's backer. Don't even mention it. Director Pei is also very capable and can handle even big things. Ye Xingling really doesn't need to be afraid of anything. No wonder Pei Dong is ranked as one of the 3 bosses that young girls most want to marry. Even my sister is holding his photo and calling him husband." The reporter sighed and shook his head. The companion on the side laughed, "Look at it, who doesn't have a small interest?" "Well, my sister is just a nymphomaniac, tall, rich and handsome, so that's okay," the reporter said. "No, I mean, Dong Pei doesn't even have a small interest. Doesn't he just like to raise a stupid, oh no, innocent and simple girl?" He just said the word brainless too loudly, which already attracted the attention of others. People around looked over and quickly changed their words, "It's just a personal hobby." Several people around him nodded silently, secretly lamenting that Ye Xingling was lucky. Only by falling in the eyes of Director Pei could she earn 10 billion and start a company. They don't believe that the 10 billion is her own money, and it's unlikely to be Li Lei's. Young Master Li's family is opposed to it. If such a large sum of money is used, what will happen to Mr. Li? Only Mr. Pei is the head of the family. He can allocate 10 billion with a wave of his hand and use it as he likes. This is really a rhythm for compounding. The people were talking a lot. I've already thought about how to write a press release, singing Queen Yexin Ling spent a huge sum of money to establish a company, and Chairman Emperor is the backer behind the scenes, said a reporter. Reunion after Broken Mirror, Pei Xian and Yexin Ling are about to get back together, another reporter said. Common Girl's counterattack, the famous lady of the Gu family was slapped in the face, who gave her the confidence, another one. Goodbye, Tianyi. Goodbye, Li Lei. The headliners came out one after another. Although the opening of a new company can be regarded as financial news, most influential financial reporters do not take this company seriously. In the end, no matter how much capital is injected, it is just a studio for a female star, a small workshop. But the entertainment reporters were different. This was definitely sensational news in the entertainment industry. Many reporters from major entertainment media were present. At this time, they were all talking enthusiastically, and they kept taking pictures of Xiaoling. The shot of directing employees to throw Gu's flower basket into the trash can. Yeah, aren't you afraid of being disrespectful to Mr. Gu by doing this? Finally, a reporter boldly asked. Xiaoling smiled. Disrespectful? I am very grateful to Mr. Gu for having the courage to use me, a little-known artist, to do such an important perfume image endorsement before I became famous. In order to repay this gratitude, I brought the Star Wings perfume to the top of the world and became the overlord of the perfume industry. I also tolerated Miss Gu many times, just for the sake of Mr. Gu. But, this time, it won't work. No matter how much love you have, there will be a time when it is exhausted. Gu Lin dared to act wild in front of my door today. She is only relying on her father and brother at home, the Gu family. If I were in front of my own house and couldn't even protect my own employees, I would have to swallow my anger. What's the point of maintaining a relationship with Gu? One word and the scene became silent again. Then, there was thunderous applause. Good. Well done. Many people said it one after another. The girl in front of her was wearing an elegant little dress, with her long hair tied into a graceful shape. Her face is as smooth as jade, and her eyes are shining brightly. Even if she is arrogant, willful, and too young to think things through, but she is affectionate and righteous, and she will go out of her way for the employees she accepts. Just like this, his courage is unmatched by many old entrepreneurs and grown men. Well done, Yexin Ling. Yeah, you are the best. People cheered. And she remained smiling amidst all the praises, and the myriad of noises could not hide her brilliance. As the guests arrived one after another, she stopped standing at the door to greet them and turned around to enter the company building. The entrance of the building is surrounded by a rockery and flowing spring, and the sycamore wood decoration is quiet and elegant. Pei Xian came up to her in well-dressed clothes and looked at her with a smile hidden in his eyes. What a wonderful speech! End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weining. Chapter 638. Chapter 638. It's all scheming. Xiaoling turned her head slightly to look at him, and smiled after a moment. Well, not as good as you. The way she looks domineering actually looks a bit like him. He was her idol since childhood. He used to take her with him when he went to the company for board meetings, major decisions, and interviews with people. She had looked up to him with such admiration, like a groupie who would look up to his idol unconsciously. So, her handwriting and the way she lectured people all had his shadow unconsciously. Pei Xian's expression was gentler. He was content at this moment. So what if he lived another life? So what if she still has Li Lei in her heart? He has already left an indelible imprint on her life. No need for blood or even love. As long as he makes every move, his legacy will be on her body. A bond that cannot be broken. Let's take a photo together, he said to her. Not far from the hall, there is a simple and elegant landscape screen, arranged as a corner for people to take photos. He walked over with her and leaned slightly to match her height. The etiquette lady's shutter flashed to record the moment. Other people came to take photos with her one after another. Feng Kun also came today. He walked up to her and hugged her gently. Xiaoling, congratulations. I will rely on you to record music in the future, she laughed. Feng Qianshang Culture Media Company has been established, but it is only a brokerage company that serves her alone. It is not like Emperor and Tianyi, which can only be perfected. If she wants to record records or shoot announcements, she still needs to cooperate with other places. And Feng Kun is the best partner. It's an honor, he said kindly. Feng Kun, I warned you. Don't take any chances with my little Ling. From the side, Wei Shaiyan walked over. Today, he was still wearing a spotless white shirt, with the style button fastened to his chin meticulously. Wearing platinum-rimmed glasses, with eyes as cold as murder. Unfortunately, the person he faced was Feng Kun. Huh? From your family, Feng Kun made a voice from his nasal cavity. Wei Shaiyan suddenly choked up. Yes, Xiaoling has already left Tianyi, how can she still be considered as her own? He suddenly started to hate Tanying, and it was all because of that pig. Push good big stars out? A strong sense of crisis came, and alarm bells rang in Wei Shaiyan's heart. Yasin Ling, I'm warning you. Unable to drive Feng Kun away, he vented his anger on Xiaoling. You have to figure out who is the most suitable producer for you. Cooperate with others. Why don't you continue to cooperate with me? Xiaoling stood in front of the landscape screen, looking at Feng Kun and then at the menacing Wei Shaiyan, feeling melancholy. Other singers are worried about finding a good producer, but what about her? How did you accidentally find two of the best in the industry? It's hard for these two to be jealous, which really puts her in a dilemma. Take pictures first. Feng Kun remained calm, moved closer to her, and motioned to the etiquette lady to take pictures. He is not as naive as Wei, so why would he do something jealous? He just put his hand on Xiaoling's shoulder calmly. Wei Shaiyan glared at him. I wanted to. As he said this, Wei pushed his way to the front of the camera and followed suit, wrapping his arms around Xiaoling's soft and slender waist. The shutter flashes continuously and the photo freezes. Xiaoling was also speechless towards the two producers. Not far away, Pei Ziyan was holding a crystal-clear goblet and slowly tasting the white wine in the glass. However, his eyes fell silently on the three people taking pictures over there. To be precise, they fell on Feng Kun's hand on Xiaoling's shoulder, and Wei Shaiyan's paw on her waist. These two producers are too courageous. How dare you eat his woman's tofu? Chairman Pei's body was surrounded by murderous intent. Nearby, many guests coming and going were also watching this scene, and many reporters, like etiquette ladies, grabbed their cameras and took pictures. Someone commented, it's really rare to see this in 100 years. Feng Kun and Wei Shaiyan, the two enemies of Wang Buwang, actually took a photo together for the first time. That's right, Yasin Ling is really charming. I heard that the two top producers admire Yasin Ling very much. It seems to be true. Now that I've seen a good show, I don't know who Yasin Ling will ask for to sing songs in the future. I think it's Feng Kun. Think about it, Yasin Ling has already broken up with Tianyi, but she has fallen out with the emperor. Pei and Dong seem to have a good relationship, and there are signs of getting back together. The new songs in the future will definitely be left to the emperor. Yes, that makes sense, everyone agreed. Pei Ziyan's originally gloomy expression relaxed slightly, and the eyes of the crowd were indeed bright. Over there, Xiaoling, together with Feng Kun and Wei Shaiyan, changed several poses and angles and took several sets of photos. She was also speechless. Why did she feel that these two men were competing for beauty, and she Are you just a cannon fodder female supporting role? Female prop? I promised to take a photo with her. Is it the two of them who pose without giving in to each other? She was complaining crazily in her heart, Akin, away, you two are the true love. Finally, with great difficulty, the enemies were sent away like a god. She was holding the landscape screen with one hand and was about to take a breath. Suddenly, a low-pitched greeting came from above her head, Xiaoling. She looked up and saw Pei Ziyan. The hall was bustling with people coming and going, but he always looked so gentle, elegant, and personable. Pei Ziyan asked her very considerately, "Are you tired?" She nodded, "Yeah." She thought he would kindly advise her to rest, but who knew, he said, "Come, take another photo with me." Ah, she was a little confused. He had already handed the wine glass to the passing waiter, half dragging and half supporting her arm, back to the corner where the photo was taken. She was confused and was helped to stand upright by him. He said, "Come closer and look at the camera," he said in a very gentle voice. She unconsciously cooperated with him. Suddenly, she felt a slight tightening in her waist. His hand was holding her waist in a very intimate gesture. Xiaoling instinctively broke away, but the photo had already been taken. "What are you doing?" she glared at Pei Ziyan unhappily. Pei Ziyan smiled gently, "Wei Shaying can support you, why can't I?" "You just can't do it," she gritted her teeth. How could this be the same? She and Wei had a pure friendship and were best friends. Ah, no, where are Lan Yan, and Pei Ziyan? Pei Ziyan is the one she needs to guard against. Pei Ziyan was not moved by her little outburst. On the contrary, he was more calm. "In your eyes, am I special than him?" Xiaoling was choked to the point of being speechless. This man really couldn't let down his guard for a second. She was so sulky that she turned away and ignored him, and went to greet other guests. Pei Ziyan didn't take it seriously. He called the etiquette lady over and asked her for a photo. Looking at the intimate posture of the two in the photo, a faint smile appeared on his lips. "Take it," he handed the photo to Chu Chen, who was accompanying him. "Put it together with several other sets of photos and send it to Mr. Li." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 639. Chapter 639, Deep Love. An island in the southern Indian Ocean. In the silent space of the intensive care unit, a young man was lying on the bed with a ventilator attached. His originally strong and well-proportioned muscles were occupied by various infusion tubes. His eyes were looking out the window silently, and his handsome face showed deep weakness and exhaustion. The ward door was pushed open. Mr. Li walked in and brought a few photos to his eyes. "Did you see it? This is the woman you have been longing for. She is a womanizer and unruly. You have only been away for a short time, and she and her ex-husband are back together. Xiaolei, I advise you. It's better for you to give up and live a good life with Sutang." On the hospital bed, Li Lei's eyes turned slightly and looked at the photos. They are all photos of Pei Ziyan and Xiaoling. Some are like candid shots. On the stage, he held her in his arms. In the night breeze in the parking lot, the two of them were very close to each other with their heads lowered, and she was writing something in his hand. In the high-end and luxurious hotel in the hotel, he came out of her room. There are also some openly posed photos. I don't know where they are. The simple and elegant landscape screens are very suitable for her. She was wearing a silver white sparkling satin dress with hollow carvings, looking like a fairy. Her petite body was very close to Pei Ziyan, and she faced the camera with a smile in her eyes. And Pei Ziyan's hand was around her waist. There was a fleeting anger in Li Lei's eyes. Mr. Li was very satisfied. Have you seen it clearly? Give up. She, Xiaoling. On the hospital bed, Li Lei's voice was hoarse, and he said every word with difficulty. She will not betray me that day. She called him, and he put down the phone and left, planning to return to China to explain to her face to face. However, something unexpected happened on the way. The Li family sent people to stop him, but he got through. The enemy blocked the entire front, but he also got through. Before boarding the plane, Li Feng approached him and said he had something to say. He brought him back home. Caught off guard, he was stabbed into the body by Li Feng. The wound was deep enough to be fatal. Do you want to go back? Li Feng licked the blood on the dagger, smiled enchantingly, leaned over, and his voice was as blurry as a whisper between lovers. Xiaolei, my dear brother, what's so good about that woman? Is it worth your indifference? I am the enemy of the whole world, but I still can't keep you. Li Lei glared at him angrily and coldly. Li Feng still smiled. Su Tang is pregnant? It doesn't matter, the child can't be yours. But, Yexing Ling can't. I don't allow you to go back to see her, do you hear that, Xiaolei? He poked Li Lei's wound maliciously, inserting the sharp dagger into Li Lei's abdomen and stirring it. Li Lei grunted in pain, his face looked miserable, and he was sweating drop by drop. Now, do you know it hurts? Li Feng smiled brightly, and his eyes were so bright that no one dared to look at him. My disobedient brother should be punished. He slowly put the dagger close to Li Lei's face. Do all women like your face? If I scratch it, do you think Yexing Ling will still love it? He slashed it with one stroke. On Li Lei's left cheek, a deep wound with bone visible was left. At this point, Li Lei's eyes became even colder. Brother, brother, he said with difficulty, you are a madman, pervert, animal, bastard. With a snap, Li Feng slapped him hard with his backhand. Beast? Who are you calling a beast? They were both born to the same father, only the mother was different. The most taboo thing in Li Feng's life was to be mentioned about his mother. He was so angry that his voice became softer. Little Lei, the older you get, the less well-behaved you become, but it doesn't matter, I will make you as well-behaved as you were when you were little. He cut Li Lei's body with another knife. Li Lei groaned again, the severe pain making him unconscious. He didn't know what was wrong with this lunatic brother, so he went back to China to find Xiaoling. Where did he provoke him? However, Li Lei knew very well that once this brother went crazy, it was completely unreasonable, and it was not impossible for him to torture and kill his own brothers. He remained calm and secretly grabbed a sharp stone with his hand. Maybe he was lucky, maybe Li Feng didn't expect that he could still resist when he was almost disemboweled. In short, when Li Lei hit Li Feng hard with a stone, and after a fierce struggle, Li Feng pinned him down. When he fell to the ground, Li Feng looked in disbelief. How come? I want to live. Li Lei tried his best to hold down Li Feng, and pressed the snatched dagger against his throat. I want to see Xiaoling. For the girl with a clear smile, the one on the other side of the sea. He must live with the girl anxiously waiting for him. How sad she would be if he died. But now, Li Lei, lying on the hospital bed, looking at these photos, suddenly felt a little unsure. Would Xiaoling really care about him? However, on the surface, he said firmly to Mr. Li, Xiaoling must still be waiting for me. She has quit Tianyi, Mr. Li said unceremoniously, showing him the news from the past few days. Various headlines reported the news that she was leaving Tianyi to pursue a solo career and was about to get back together with Pei Xian. Li Lei still didn't believe it. As soon as his injury heals, he will return home immediately and find her to explain to her face to face. Mr. Li seemed to have read through his mind and said, don't believe it? She and Pei Xian have already made an oath of love. Have you seen the rings on their hands? They are exactly the same style. Li Lei then noticed that in the photo, Pei Xian was wearing a simple platinum ring on the of his left hand holding Xiaoling's waist, while Xiaoling was also wearing a ring on the same position on her left hand. The two of them smiled calmly. Li Lei's heart tightened hard and the pain was severe. "Impossible," he said, "Xiaoling has a ring, and I bought it for her." Mr. Li snorted coldly, "Didn't she tell you? It was melted by Pei Xian a long time ago. Show him the video of Pei Xian sending someone to melt the ring." In the video, the inside of the ring is engraved with the initials L, Y, which is indeed the one he bought when he went shopping with her a long time ago. Li Lei still said, "It's impossible." The voice has dropped. Mr. Li snorted coldly and looked at his grandson's barely concealed but still unable to conceal look of disappointment. Knowing that his goal had been achieved, he turned around and left the ward. In the ward, silence returned. Li Lei's cold expression disappeared. He looked out the window silently, the light in his eyes gradually dimming. "Xiaoling. My Xiaoling. I'm sorry for not being able to return home in time. Are you heartbroken by me, or can't wait to be with Pei Xian again?" Outside the window, the sunset was silent. End of this chapter. Rebirth of the Entertainment Circle, Return of the Queen. Author, Xia Weiniang. Chapter 640. Chapter 640 Dolphin Sound Goddess. Xiaoling's company quickly got on track. All this must be attributed to Lin Yunan. He comes from a business family and keeps everything in order. As for Xiaoling, just focus on her music and announcements. In the conference room, Xiaoling held a cup of tea in her hand, tilted her head slightly and said, "The first thing we have to solve is the concert tour. So many fans bought tickets before, but Tianyi said it would be interrupted. Even if later, I refunded the ticket for them, which also caused widespread dissatisfaction. I didn't like their way of handling it." Lin Yunan nodded, "Such an approach is indeed harmful to popularity. Do you have any good ideas?" People from various departments brainstormed and soon decided to continue the unfinished tour. An announcement was posted on her official website, announcing the news, reselling tickets, and promising that each subsequent tour concert would be 1 hour longer than originally planned. Lin Yunan was a little worried about her voice. "Can you bear such high intensity?" She smiled brightly, with a hint of arrogance at the corners of her eyes and eyebrows. "What's so unbearable? Isn't it just that the original 2 hours turned into 3 hours? It's far from my limit." Lin Yunan thought of her astonishing stage dominance. Every time she took the stage, she performed like a cult leader, making people crawl and worship her, so she stopped talking. Just as she believed in his company management abilities, he also believed in her amazing talent in music. The existence of this girl was a miracle in itself. Fans who were originally disappointed and angry because of the cancellation of the concert became full of expectations again when they saw the official news. They supported her return with great enthusiasm and shouted the slogan "Down with Tianyi." From the outside world. No, it should be said, in fact it is indeed the case. She was squeezed out by Tianyi. Many loyal fans were aggrieved for her, and they were even more unhappy when they heard that Tianyi had used the venue originally planned for her tour for other purposes. They strongly called on her to compete with Tianyi in the ring. Want to compete in the ring? Xiaoling looked at the official website and left a message, lost in thought. Lin Yunan came over to take a look. "This is a good idea. Your popularity is not inferior to any of the female stars in Tianyi, and you became famous later than them. If you win, it will be your glory. If you lose, you will not be ashamed." Xiaoling also felt angry because Tan Ying had bullied others too much before. She pushed the notebook, leaned back, and said lightly, "Okay, let's fight in the ring." Lin Yunan smiled with satisfaction. The reason why he took a fancy to this girl and tried every means to flatter her was because he liked her attitude of defying everything. Not afraid of heaven and earth. He found out clearly that Tianyi had transferred the original venue to Xia Linlang to hold a solo concert. He ordered the event department to rent the same venue for Xia Linlang's concert the next day, the same time period, the same audio equipment, and the same ticket price. He wants to see who is the most popular. Soon, sharp-eyed fans discovered this detail, and the public opinion became agitated. They talked about this competition. Xia Linlang has always been the little diva promoted by Tianyi, and Ye Ling also became famous through Tianyi, but was abandoned. Of these two little divas, who has the most box office appeal? Fans on both sides also began to compete. Many people who had not originally planned to come to the scene also bought tickets and planned to come in order to support their idols. Media reporters were also alerted and focused on these two concerts, paying attention and reporting. On the day of the concert, in the dressing room, Xiaoling sat in front of the mirror and let the makeup artist apply makeup for her. Lin Yunan accompanied her, and outside, there was a faint noise from the fans in the front court. Lin Yunan had a relaxed and comfortable smile on his face. "You are still awesome. I just went out and took a look." The entire venue was full, and there were many people outside the venue who had not bought tickets and wanted to sneak in. "What about Xia Linlang's show yesterday? Although all the tickets were sold out like yours, the venue was not full, and the scalpers wandering around didn't raise the ticket prices as high as yours. If you don't start singing, you are destined to be the winner." Xiaoling lowered her eyes slightly and straightened her sparkling nails carefully. The victory had been expected for a long time. She just let nature take its course and showed the truth-like result to the world. To be fair, she didn't hate Xia Linlang, and even had a good impression of her. The fault was that their current camps were different, and one was destined to become the stepping stone for the other. After tonight, there will no longer be any talk of two little queens in the music world. She will be the only queen. In the front court, the cheers grew louder and louder. Some staff came to invite her to appear. Wearing gorgeous clothes, she walked onto the stage calmly and with an extremely arrogant attitude. Tonight, this is her stage, her world. She has brought her dolphin voice to the extreme, making it stunningly beautiful. 3 hours flew by. Fans were fascinated by her confusing and charming singing voice and couldn't get back to their senses for a long time. "My God!" Someone grabbed his companion and said, "Is this an illusion?" "No. This is not an illusion. Xiaoling's singing is better than before. I dare say that in the entire music world, except for the dead Queen Xiaoling, no one has people sing better than her." "That's it," the companion said excitedly, "I love Xiaoling." Fanatical enthusiasm spreads among the fan base. Earlier, the shadow of Tianyi cancelling the concert and refunding tickets disappeared in Xiaoling's super high-level singing. Everyone felt that it was worth the money, and waiting for such singing was worth all the twists and turns. That night, the fan circle went crazy, describing how perfect and breathtaking her singing was. Others posted secretly recorded live clips online. The entire internet was shocked. After many years, after the death of Queen Xiaoling, another goddess of dolphin music appeared in the music world. The next day, almost all music sections were occupied by her fans, and even many passers-by joined the discussion. As for Xia Linlang, submerged in the waves are almost invisible. This contest between the two little queens has a clear winner. Tan Ying was so angry that he threw the table and scolded the directors of several departments. "What do you do for food? Don't you know how to rent that venue for other time periods? Linlang sings on Saturdays and Ye Ling sings on Sundays. This can make people crush. This is crushing. There is no excuse. This timing is indeed a bit disappointing. Logically speaking, Saturday is prime time, and Sunday can only be regarded as silver time. The box office effect is logically not as good as Saturday. But even so, Xiaoling still crushed Xia Linlang. The contrast was so stark that it was a slap in the face. End of this chapter.